Many parents have this question in their mind: is Canada still worth it? And if not, where should students actually look beyond India? And here is the honest answer. In 2025, many Indian students are quietly shifting towards Malaysia and, of course, Japan. Not because they gave up on the West, but because the numbers, policies, and timelines now favor Asia for a lot of families. But what changed in Canada, the UK, and the US? Let's talk about Canada first because student permits are now capped. And for 2025, the government plans to issue about 437,000 student permits, which is lower than last year. And on top of that, most applicants need a provincial or a territorial attestation letter because before they even apply. And that extra step adds time and, of course, uncertainty to many of them. And money is tighter too. And Canada raised the proof of funds from old 10,000 level to $20,600 for a single student applicant. And of course, schools are also warning this threshold is indexed and can rise potentially in the late 2025. As courses open, work permits are now restricted to a narrower set of student programs. So the old plan of one partner studying while the other works is not simple anymore. And the UK demand from key markets fell after the dependence ban. And sponsored student visas dropped by about 14% in 2025 with lower interest from India, Nigeria, and Bangladesh. And that tells you families are recalculating total cost and family logistics, of course, which matters for any decision making. And in the US, this year, visa processing has been bumpy. Like universities and international education groups report fewer F1 visas issued compared with last year. That alone creates last minute stress for students who have already paid fees and booked flights. But why Malaysia? Three reasons that stand out. First is, of course, affordability and the value it brings. Like Malaysia set a target to reach 250,000 international students by 2025 and has been making it easier to get in. And reports put the student visa approval rate to be around 90%, and living costs are also modest compared to global standards, often a fraction of Western hubs that you might see. And the second reason is English medium options are reputable universities. Like multiple Malaysian universities sit in the global rankings as well, and many of these programs are, of course, taught in English. And for Indian families, that lowers the language barrier and speeds up adjustments. Third is, of course, smoother logistics. Applications run through MGS, and students can see status updates in central portal, so you know what is really happening on your application. You still need a visa approval letter, but nothing. But processing is pretty predictable. Not the time, and the timelines are not too much. Work rules are also clear too. International students can work up to 20 hours a week only during, of course, longer holidays or semester breaks with immigration approval. So the focus stays on studies during term time, unlike probably in any of the other Western countries. So, a quick note on cost: many Indian guides estimate monthly living costs between roughly 450 and 800 euros per month, which is far below most Western cities. And tuition for many undergraduate programs averages around 6,000 US dollars per year. So all that you have to do is go check for your program that you want to apply with, but the range shows why families are comparing these countries extremely seriously. Let's understand why the next option is Japan. Because Japan is having a record year for international students. As of 2024, there were about 336,000 foreign students in Japan. And that is a rise of over 20% year over year. And the country is clearly investing to attract talent. And part time work hours during studies is pretty straightforward, and with the right permission, students can work up to 28 hours per week during their term and longer hours during their long vacations. And after graduation, if you need time to search for a job, there is a designated activities visa for job hunting that can extend your stay. And there are more English taught programs now, plus well known scholarships like MEXT and new private options that support Indian students as well. Even the academic links are growing, like IIT Bombay is opening its first international campus in Japan in collaboration with Tohoku University, which signals deeper India Japan pathways ahead. Let's get into the practical comparison. If you are choosing between Canada or the UK and an Asian option, think in three buckets. First one is budget and certainty. Like Malaysia is often half the living cost of Canada for many students. And Japan sits in the middle somewhere, and Canada and the UK can work if you have the funds and a strong program fit. But the upfront money and paperwork now filter more applicants at the start. The next one is timeline to work. In Malaysia, part time work is limited to holidays. You can work only during your vacation time, but so the plan should not rely on term time job. You can't earn while you study. And Japan allows you to work part time during your studies within clear limits, of course. And Canada and the UK offer broader work rights during studies, but the bottleneck today is getting the visa and, of course, meeting the higher financial thresholds. Post study path is the third category that you need to look into, like Canada's PGWP is still strong if you pick the right program, but do not join public private partnership programs at all because they no longer lead to a postgraduate work permit. And the UK graduate route remains in place for now. And in Japan, the job hunting visa plus employer sponsored roles are the usual bridge if you want to stay a little longer there in that country. And your choice should match your end goal. What is exactly that I want to do by going global? And if you ask me what this means for Indian students in 2025, and if your family wants a predictable process and lower cost, Malaysia makes sense. But if you want a tech forward economy with clear part time work that has rules and growing scholarships, Japan could possibly be a compelling option for you. But if your goal is long term settlement, like through work, you can still fit in, but the bar to enter is much more higher compared to what you might have seen in the past years, and spouses' work options are getting even more tighter. The UK is kind of stabilizing, but family restrictions changed many of those plans in 2024. You could filter your options by based on your goals. So, are you choosing a global brand name or a specific skill or a fast and affordable degree? Based on that, you had to rank like money, right on total cost for year one, tuition plus the official living cost requirement for your visa. If the numbers stay in your plan, look at Malaysia or scholarships in Japan first. Work could be a second option. Decide how much you need part time income. If it is essential during term, Japan or Western destinations, that could fit into your bucket. And if it is nice to have, Malaysia remains strong. And of course, language and culture. If you want English quickly, Malaysia is easier. If you are open to learning Japanese along your degree, Japan opens interesting doors for you. Even in Canada, for that matter, you might have to learn a bit of French if you have to, right? To open more doors and options. So, if you're thinking, how do I pitch this to my parents who have to decide me to go out of India? And if you're tight on budget and you want a safe campus, English medium teaching, and a smoother visa experience, shortlist three Malaysian universities and compare real placement options there and how much it's costing against what you might spend if you were to study in India. And if your child is interested in engineering or robotics or design and is willing to learn Japanese, shortlist two Japan universities with strong industry ties and check their career options as well. Of course, with this video, I'm not saying the West is closed option for you. It is just stricter and more expensive year on year. And Malaysia and Japan are not second choices. For many students, they are the smarter first choice for 2025 alone.